Welcome back to Restoring Sean and the final episode of 2024. Today is also the final how-to of the Christmas season, and I'm going to be walking you through how I decorated the nightmare of a Christmas tree that you see next to me, and ultimately, how I think I pulled it off. If you're new to the channel, I post a new video every Wednesday morning where I'm typically showcasing the work I've done in one of my houses, but for the month of December, I'm letting my heart grow 3 sizes, and instead of grinching my way through the month, I'm making sure there are no lights that won't light and that the holiday season is a memorable one. Before we dive in, I wanted to explain the idea behind the theme of my tree. This house in general is a dark academia theme, and we'll get into that at another time. I wanted a dark academia theme for the tree. When I searched online for inspiration images, I came across these 2 photos. They were, as the name states, dark, but they were also very rich and full. And in addition to that, they were fake, because these images are very much AI generated. But it got me to thinking, how could I interpret these for reality? I have never been one to have a crazy tree. I have only ever played it safe with my Christmas trees. But for this year, and for all of you, I wanted to shave off the safety of the past and just go full maximalist, and this is how I did it. Please enjoy this special presentation of Restoring Sean. Let's get started. Today is going to be a day of spray painting. I've got the fresh hell of all of these that need to be not just spray painted, because you cannot find dark purple ornaments in the color of purple. You can't really find purple ornaments anywhere unless they're kind of like mercury purple, which is like a light lavenderish. So I've got this size, I've got little baby here, and then there's another size somewhere that I'm very helpfully did not put within reach. They're going to get spray painted, and then they are going to be turned into velvet. And we're going to do that with some baking soda and spray paint, and we're going to see how it goes. I saw it in a little tutorial last year and thought, I'm going to give that a whirl. And then for the other ornaments, because they are just cheap plastic ornaments, because they don't make glass ones this big, or if they do, they're too expensive and I'm not paying for that. I don't want this though, so I have more spray paint for these to be a satin black I don't want reflections on it. So satin black, there's some that are glittery that I'm gonna have to paint with like a clear coat shellac spray, because as I said in the Halloween video, I hate glitter. I hate glitter. And I don't want it dumping everywhere and getting all over my hands, and then it's on your face and it's a whole thing. We're gonna get started with pulling off all of their little caps, because these are then gonna get spray painted as well. And we're gonna try and do all of this while the sun's up and it's warmer outside, because it's gonna get cold pretty quick, and I don't wanna be caught in that. All right, I got my workstation set up. So we've got some purple. We've got a few things of clear coat. We've got a black, and then somewhere in a bag down there with all the ornaments and things is brass and black. I've also got all of their little hangers on a little dowel here. I've got some dowels that I need to cut up still so I can set the ornaments on them for drying. And my mask, because this is a lot of spraying aerosol, and I don't normally wear a mask when I do this, but this is too much, and this time I shall. For the record, I am using this Rust-Oleum. I have tried maybe 6 different brass spray paints, and this is the one that I like the best. And because I don't want anything too shiny on the tree, I'm just gonna spray this with satin polyurethane, and hopefully it tones it down a little bit. But the real reason that I'm doing it is because this is glitter and it's gonna fall off, and I'm not down with that. So I'm using old meat skewers that I also never use. Why get rid of it? Watch this just ruin them totally. I guess we're gonna find out. Don't stick together. I don't even know where to put these. Ah! Next, I don't like the matte finish of these ornaments, so we're gonna paint them. We'll angle that side into the tree. Also, like, you get these things from whatever store you get them from. I'm not gonna name drop here. They've never been opened. They've been in these plastic boxes for forever, and they're all scuffed up. Look at that. That looks like caca. What an asshole. I don't know, man. What am I doing? Well, I'm getting it all over my camera stand. That's what I'm doing. Not that you're gonna be able to tell a difference right now, but like, I think that's a good difference. I think they're gonna look good. So let's just seal in all that glitter. Let's see how this purple looks. It is aubergine.
Would you call this color grape or aubergine?
All right, main event. Let's see. You're supposed to dump baking soda all over it. All right, so we're gonna, oh, it hit something. Son of a bitch. We're gonna let that dry, and then we're gonna dust off the excess. I ended up spraying the end brass because it was looking gross. Let's take a look here. Hey, that is not bad. Huh, well, how cool. It's super cheap too. The ornaments are cheap. The baking soda was like 87 cents for a small box. And then, you know, spray paint's like, what, $6? That looks like a velvet ornament. That's really cool. So after a whole bunch more spray painting, there were 68 ornaments in total that were gonna go on the tree that were adjusted or spray painted. And I wanna say maybe 24 were the velvet ones, but I cut all these strips of green velvet to use instead of just regular ornament hooks. And in the end, I had a box that looked like a bunch of berries, and that was cool. So today is Black Friday. It's another one that I do not have to work retail. My parents are on their way right now, and we are gonna go cut down the tree. So it is the big day. I've got the space all cleared where it's gonna go. I have 9-foot ceilings in here. I brought a measuring tape this year so that I won't miscalculate like I did last year. 9 foot for me and probably like 7 for them. Let's do it.
Balls. These are all balls.
Are they? Are these balsams?
Look at there.
Is that balsam? Does that say balsam?
It says balls.
Oh, balsam. Parents are looking for a canine, and I'm looking for a Fraser fir. 'Cause last year I had balsam, and it was bullshit.
There you go. I didn't have to hold it.
Back from tree escapades, and we're good. I'm changed and cleaned up, and I did my hair because I have to film now. But there she is. She's kind of a little wonky shaped, but this was like a 13-foot tree that I cut it at like 10 feet. Cut another foot off when I got home, and I don't know if you can see it. Scratched the hell out of the ceiling, but that's okay. I got paint. You can fix that. So I'm gonna start doing lights now. This thing was really heavy, and you're supposed to just tag them after you cut them, and you leave them in like these kind of road things, and they come along and pick them up with their trailers. And after waiting in the hut to pay for like 25 minutes, I went back out there, and the lane where my tree was, there were like 7 other trees, and they had not been touched. So I picked it up and hauled it, and this thing weighs like 130 pounds. So it was, I'm pretty tired right now, and I don't really want to decorate, but I have to because I'm running out of time. So here we go. So here's round one. The initial idea with the tree was that I was going to do purple lights buried inside and then white on the outside. So you'd get just a glimpse of the purple. That was the logic behind it. And I only had 2 strands of that purple, but I was running out of regular lights. You know, last year I didn't bring a measuring tape to when we cut the tree down, and I was just kind of guessing wildly at what 9 feet was. Like, holding my arm above my head and thinking, yeah, that's good. By the time I got home and my parents helped me with getting it stood up, and you cut the base off when you get home, all that to make it more fresh. I think the tree was maybe just over 6.5 feet, so it looked real dinky in this room, and that was not ideal. When I was finished with the regular lights, I had a tree topper that was a halo, and it had 16 strands that were 8 feet long each of LED lights. And that is what I'm putting on here. The problem being that they were twinkling, and 8 foot is great unless you have a 9-foot tree. So you might be noticing that it's dark outside, and there are no lights on the tree anymore. So I went out to get lights. Instead of finding the thing I wanted, I found different stuff because they didn't have the thing I wanted, which was more of the flickery things. They had good purple lights. They're not as dark as the other ones were, but they're not as, magenta as the ones I didn't want to use. And they're LED, which I'm pretty impressed with because I usually hate LED lights. I bought a bunch of these and more white and thought, I'll just work them in. And then I came back and looked at the tree, and I hated it. I hated the little string lights that took me forever to work down. I couldn't see enough purple. It wasn't the impact that I wanted. Let's do it over. And that's okay. That's okay. It's gonna be good. So for round 2 of the lights, first, I like going straight up the center of the tree with lights buried as far in as I can, just because it gives this
kind of interior illumination if the ornaments are going to be blocking stuff. Then I filled it with the purple lights, and then I filled it with white. I was very happy with how the lights turned out second time around. But then it was time for the ornaments, and I had no idea what I was doing. It was so sloppy and slapdash that I really didn't like it the next day at all. It's been a week since I decorated. I'm always going to be honest with you guys, for better or worse. I got the tree decorated. It's fine. And the reason I'm showing this to you is because this is not final looks right now. Because I'm not happy with the tree. I sat with it for a week, kind of assessed what I did and did not like, and it just looks like a blob. I like all the components for it. I like all the things, but I can do better. I can do better. I've said before, sometimes you don't hit it out of the park the first time. This whole maximalist thing is not something I've ever done before. It's not my vibe, so I am learning how to do this. And in the end, maybe it's not my favorite tree, but if I can make it better, I will make it better. I'm going to strip the tree of everything but the lights, because the lights are fine, and then we're going to redo it. And then that's going to be final looks. So here we go. It's the next day. I'm going to stop screwing around. It's time to get this done. I'll tell you, with 2 weeks till Christmas, the last thing I want to do is redo my tree, but I know it's necessary, and this is what it's got to be. So one final look of the blob, and we're going to lay it all out on drop cloths because there is some glitter, and I don't like glitter. I just had the thought before I actually got started on taking this down to talk about what's wrong with it. Some of you watching this might be like, that's the prettiest tree I've ever seen in my life, and you're not wrong, but I think the problem with the tree is that because it was so big when I cut it down, it was hard to tell what the shape was, and there are weird spots where it's empty. There's nothing there. The initial approach was just putting everything on it and then adding a little bit more to see what was working, what wasn't. Everything was working. It just needed to be adjusted in quantity. The tree, while it's fine, it lacks any kind of shape or theming. The plan is to beef up the bottom so that it kind of expands a little bit more outward at the bottom with more of the dark. And then hopefully, if all goes according to plan, it will get lighter as it goes up. So a little bit of an ombre effect. Not a ton, because that's not the goal here. I think that's going to be the trick to kind of making this look good. Now we can start. Let's talk about the ornaments because I really didn't talk about these before I put them all on the tree. We've all seen, obviously, the velvet ornaments. I did have a friend the other day ask me if you need to scuff these up before you paint them. You don't, but I will say, the ones that were just spray painted, they have done well. Just now taking everything off, I did drop a velvet ornament, and I wonder if it's the baking soda in it, but it did come off. So if you're doing the velvet ornaments, I will say it would probably be smart to scuff them up a little bit and maybe do like a base coat of spray paint and then do a second coat when you do your baking soda. Apart from these friends, let's talk about what we got. So I got these brown velvet poinsettias because they're kind of in the same general family. This gold garland, these, which I was really unsure about. The glitter doesn't come off, which is great, and they are all incredibly posable. Each leaf can be bent, so this is awesome. These guys, which are the crown for the tree, I got this stuff, which is also great because it can all be completely bent. Well, one of my best friends, Tina, this summer told me when I was working on the planters on the front porch. I don't have a green thumb. I'm not very good at it. She told me the 3 components that you need, and I forget who told her. You need a thriller, a spiller, and a filler for your planters. And I'm gonna apply that same notion to the tree. Your thriller is going to be stuff like the poinsettia, the velvet ornaments, just the little special ornaments. Your filler is going to be the stuff like the flowers. I have a whole variety of flowers. I got several different types of purple because they went very well with the colors of my ornaments that I did. These were the fancy black hydrangeas. These were the ones that, like, I think for a dozen it was like $8 on Amazon. That's not bad. I don't love the little gray heads on them, but that's okay. And the spiller is going to be these things and this. Anything that gives kind of a blah. With the ornaments, while I did do all of these velvet ribbons to hold them. They didn't like staying on the tree. I have a whole baggie of ornament hooks that I got. I'm just going to use that to make sure these don't go anywhere, and I can fill in some of the voids a little bit better that were left on the tree. Let's get started on putting the tree back together. It's afternoon, so I'm going to pour myself a glass of eggnog. I may or may not add something to it. It's a Sunday, and I guess that's brunch hours, and it's okay if you have brunch by yourself. So yeah, let's get this going and rock steady, I guess. I really liked how the crown of the tree looked when it was lit up. Oh, it's still sappy. I wanted to add extra lights up here without adding like a ton of heat, since these ones are the incandescent lights, because I'm still not 100% sold on white LED lights without them looking less than ideal. I figure half a strand is fine, so I'll just tuck the dead part. Oh my god, did it just light up? Ooh, you guys, which one is doing it? It's on this side. I hope this is the most exciting thing you guys have seen today, because who's the problem child here? What's wrong with it? I'm pretty much an electrician at this point, and my word is law, so let's not forget that. So watch it go out again as I'm doing this. Basically what I'm doing, I'm just adding lights underneath all of those gold branches, because the way they lit up was really cool looking. I want that in order to kind of amp up what the top of the tree looks like. And then maybe we can just kind of plop all this up here behind everything, and maybe that's gonna look like cock-a-doo-doo. We'll find out. That's up. I'm gonna start with the crown, and I know that that's not the way to do it, but I don't care, and I make the rules. How many do I have? 7. Good. And I've got nowhere to put these. Good lord. Guys, if I had any semblance of what I was doing, I think you'd probably not want to watch this, because where's the fun in that? I don't want to get off the ladder again. So we gotta floof these out a little bit just to maximize the volume on them. So what I do is I'm kind of bending down and then back up, so it kind of has like a little bit of an arch, if you will. Please don't fall over. It's a beaut! Glorious! Next step, anytime you are decorating a tree. Obviously you don't usually start with the top, but we did, so who cares? The next step is going to be any kind of garland that you have, whether that's beads, some sort of a floral garland, if you're doing popcorn or whatever, because you don't want to be working with that later when you're going to have to weave it in and out of your ornaments and things like that. So we're going to start with the black beaded garland first, because that one I care the least about, but I bought it, so I'm going to use it. Something else you guys are probably going to notice in this video is that I'm not doing my garland around the back of the tree. That's strictly because it's tucked in the corner, so it doesn't matter. In a normal circumstance, yes, I would put it behind the tree. I didn't buy enough. End of story. So I bought a couple more strands of each, which will make the black less like droopy than I had it, because I was trying to cover the whole height of the tree. And now I can really keep it a lot more concise. It's okay if your garland is kind of tucked further back into your tree. It's just going to help with filling up some of that negative space that you have. In the end, it does also kind of cheat the illusion that you've got more than what is shown. So it was just the right amount of garland. As we learned with this video, everybody, the beauty is in the edit. You get it up, you do your magic, and then you need to go back and fix it. We're going to get our gold spiller in there. The trick with this gold stuff is that it's all running in one direction. Without having enough of it, it was tricky to make it look like it was wrapping around downward rather than... I kept having to kind of change angles. In the end, these kind of just hang however you want them. I'm going to play with that. I did want to have it be a little bit more condensed at the top so that it looked like it was kind of spilling out from these. This stuff is not glitter, but it is like a gold paste, I think, that is just kind of coming off a little bit on my phalanges. So let's take a step back. You know what? I think that's fine. Now the rest we're just going to kind of do a little bit more of a traditional route. So I had all these gold little guys. I had run out of hooks, so when I did the initial decorating, I just like put them in the branches and they kept falling. There's nothing more terrifying than living alone and watching TV late at night and hearing an ornament fall off your tree. You know, that's not creepier or anything. The great thing about garland like this, even after putting the ornaments on, I could still see the voids. With this adjusted a little bit behind it, the gold was kind of catching your eye more, so you were ignoring the space behind it and noticing more of just like, oh, there's a gold thing there. Sound very educated. I don't want to touch my face, I'm gonna get gold all over it. So right away, you can see the gap that's hanging out right here. We don't want gaps, we want to hide this stuff. I have these ornament hooks, which really they're just like bits of wire. So I'm gonna start hanging some stuff in these gaps on this side and on the other to hopefully make them disappear. Just let your eyes not drawn to like, hey, you're missing some shit. One of the things I said I wanted to do was kind of build out the bottom of the tree a little bit and kind of cheat that look. And we're going to do it with these black bits. Because I can kind of spread them as much as they do, I can beef this up to have it arching away from the tree, and that's just going to help with that illusion that it goes out further than it really does. And if you guys are wondering, this tree is a Fraser fir because I haven't had luck with balsam. Right now there's a picture going up of what my tree looked like last year, and by the time I had my Christmas party, the tree had dried out so much that if you brushed against the tree, the needles fell. So when I took the tree down, this was the stack of pine needles left in its wake, which was just insane considering it had water the whole season. So go figure that one out. These were so cheap and I should have just bought everything they had, but I didn't want to like overload the tree with black because that's festive. That really helps to fill that space. It looks crazy on the camera. I'm also going to try to focus on having the largest ornaments more toward the bottom, just so that that visual weight is sort of anchored down below, rather than having big pieces up top, which also then kind of plays with your eye a little too much. Not the way that I want it to. So now that I'm putting the littlest friends on there, they're the most front-facing ones because I have the most purple in those. So they're going to kind of act as little bursts of color on the front to the darker background of some of these things. Oh shit. Forgot I also bought these actual black velvet ones because they were like $1 for the whole set. Well, they actually look like midnight compared to the rest of the colors. All right, so it's coming together a bit more. Now we're going to start doing flowers to get the majority of these voids filled. And these are as simple as just shoving them in there. Now, the mistake I made the first time around was that I pushed the flowers back way too far, and then you couldn't really see them. So I'm going to try to leave them a bit more up front this time and just see how that do. We're going to start with all the black. And again, trying to keep it low-ish. Like, we're not going to put them up at the top, even though I really want to. And that's just in an effort to keep the weight at the bottom. We're going to start shoving these stupid things in because I don't love them, but they are what they are. Oh, she's filling up. Okay, these are the darker ones. Now it's time for the poinsettias. These are the real fillers from where I couldn't achieve it with everything else. So let's crack on. I still have so much stuff to put on. Oh boy. Funny thing about doing this, when you decide you know how to do it better and you go back and you actually do it, as you're implementing, you realize you now have too much stuff for your tree and you're not sure how to make it all fit. I just wish I'd thought about that before I redid it all. These guys ended up being my favorite. Fun little bursts, and it's a different texture from everything else. And they kind of stick where you place them. Then we have got these guys, and I saved these for last. This all kind of comes together really neat with the kind of drippy. Some of these are going to have to be lower, add to that fullness at the bottom. You know, I'd love if I had a million of these stems, but they were a little bit more expensive because they're not considered Christmas, so they were never included in the sales. Just makes them more special. All right. That's everything. So I'm going to add some of these little gold ones in random spots just for a little bit more sparkle in there. And then it's time for final looks. It's okay if this is the ugliest tree you've ever seen in your life. I've come to terms with that. But I think it's different. It was based off of AI images. It's okay to branch out because we can do a different theme next year. And I already know what that theme is. So time for final looks. And that is all I have got for you today and this month and this year. Thank you so much for sticking with me this year and through the first 2 houses and the Halloween videos and Christmas and taking a tree apart and putting it back together 3 times. And what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What should I do next year? If you do any of this or make any of this for yourself, please make sure that you share it on Instagram and tag me in it at restoring_Sean. That way I can see your work and how you interpret it for yourself and what you did with your colors and all of that. I want to see and I want to know. And also make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe below. That way you are reminded every Wednesday morning when a new episode drops. I am taking next week off so I can finally just sit and enjoy all the work that's gone into making these Christmas videos. But I will be back on New Year's Day with the whole reason that this channel started. On January 1st, 2025, we will finally start the journey of restoring the estate. So until then, take care, have a Merry Christmas, a very Happy New Year, and I will see you soon.